You can show the dimensions and things like that over here, but when it comes to 2D, because again, when you are on the shop floor or in the industry, or for you guys when you're submitting your coursework, you cannot really send these CAD files. You have to print them on paper, right? So uh, if I send something like maybe, okay, it's not showing me the views. If I send something like this, nobody would be able to rebuild that. They cannot know like what is it over here. So engineering drawing would help you like to form this whole thing in a 2D in a manner that each and every part of it, each and every curve of this thing, for example, if it is something like that, you cannot tell that if there's a curve over there or not. It's not letting me show the views from right over there. Okay, so that's one of the basic purposes of 2D drawing. Uh, so like in my many years, I have seen some 2D drawings which are like really worse. So just converting a thing into 2D and placing some dimensions is not a thing. So there are some rules which you need to follow. Some rules are like the Creo would not let you break them, and some rules are which you need to keep in mind. For example, no dimension, no same dimension should be repeated twice in any of the views. You would see that more clearly when we are doing the drawings. The other thing is things like that. You should, if you are doing something, if you are placing something, for example, if this surface has a different finish, this surface, it should be there in the drawing, and there should be a table down over here. We would be looking at that more uh, openly when we are in there in the drawing menu. There should be some table showing that who drew this diagram, when this diagram was made, and again when it is moving forward. If you start changing things like some things over here, those all should be there on your drawing sheet. There comes another problem. So let me open this part. Another thing which you can like which you would have to tackle over here is like uh, if you see in this piston there are some uh, features which are inside, and they would not be visible in any of the views. We would be able to see that when we move to the drawing. For that purpose we create sections. uh, when you would open up this part, you would see that the planes are disabled. You would have to enable them. So for that purpose, like to see what's inside really in 2D drawings, we use the sections feature. But for that, you would have it the easy way. You can create sections when you are in the drawing mode, but it's like way easier when you create them inside your part mode. How would you do that? The first thing is make all these planes visible. Just click over them and click on this eye symbol, because you would take the reference of these planes to create your sections. Now sectioning is something like you are not actually cutting the whole part. It's just a view. You're just defining for the Creo that, okay, I want to see this view also. So it is there, obviously it is there under the view tab. You would go under view, and in the section, you would select the planar section. after you had made your planes visible, you would go in view and enter the section tab. You would select planar. Once you have selected planar, in the references you have to select some plane. So this time I am selecting this particular plane, which is my front plane, and then I can change the direction if I want to by clicking on this arrow, or I can change it like how much section I want. If I want it very inner side, or I want to see the holes, I actually want to see the holes, and I would press on OK. Now you are looking at half a piston, but it's not as that. It's not like you have cutted the piston in half. It's just a view. If you just hide this section from here, you would be able to see the whole piston, and you would see this effect when I create the other section. I want a section of this part too to look at like what's happening over here. Again, either I can select the plane first, and I can select planar, and it would plane get this out. Now Creo doesn't know what material are you using or what properties are you giving to your model. For that thing, you need to define it like, okay, this material is made up of cold steel or whatever, this is made up of ceramic or things like that. Creo doesn't know that by default because you can be using any material, right? So you would go to file of your part, and in prepare you have your model properties. I'm repeating that. You will go to file, manage file, prepare, and in that model properties. Now you have all these properties which are right over there. You can define the tolerances, this unit. Okay, these are in ISO, we are fine with that. Let's change the material. So to change the material, I just clicked on change right in front of material, and you have legacy materials or standard materials, whichever you want to choose. I'm choosing steel for this one, and just click on OK. Okay, steel. It's not changing due to some reason. Let's try that again. You have to double click on that, so it would come under it is all selected. When you press on OK, you can see that it's steel now. Now you would be doing these things when you are creating your models, like every part. You would have to define every part. I haven't defined all the parts as materials. I'm just going for this one. And it would take the relative density by itself from its database. And if there are some materials which are not in there, remember that you can download the whole directories of the materials for Creo online. Once you're done with it, you can just go to file. You would have to save that. I just press Ctrl S. So all my sections and things like that are saved. I would just go to file, and I will click on new. And in drawing, would go in drawing and uncheck use default template and press on OK. For this part, we are going to go with the if you don't have any format, how are you going to create a format? And then for the assembly drawing, I would tell you how to use the format which I just sent you, or if you have some particular format of some company. Because when you are working in the companies, every company has its own drawing format which you have to follow. Landscape is usually best, and change the size to A4, that's your page size. Now you see over here, as the model was open, it's already taking it as is. So if it was not there, you would have to just to browse and choose the model you want to make the drawing of. Creo already have built-in formats too. You would have to select that from browse. I never use these ones. Okay, you would not be able to see that. Okay, sorry. Creo has its own sum of formats which are there. I never use them. I either create my own or I use the one which was already provided to me. So I'm going for empty, landscape, and A4. And now when you press OK, a new window would pop up in front of you with a rectangle in front of you. Now this rectangle defines the size of your paper. You don't want to do anything out of this sheet. Now we have already defined while we were opening the drawing that we are making the model of the piston. So I would just go into the journal view and select default all. Journal view and default all. And when I press on OK and I click anywhere on my sheet, my model would be imported. So now it's it all depends. Let's do something else first. So what would I do is I would just select the front orientation from this over here. I click on apply. It's showing me its front side, its front view. I would not do anything in the visible area option. I need the full view. In the scale, you can change the scale as you like. For this, let's try 1. It's too big. So let's try 0.7. If you scale your diagram, this is not the place. The Creo would automatically, you should scale all the whole drawing, everything on sheet on one scale. Now I'm using the scale of 0.7, so I would stay consistent with this scale. You can vary the scale, but it's not conventional or it's not a good practice. So if some sheet is at a scale of 0.7, it should all be in the scale of 0.7. And you should not mention the scale over here. You should mention it in a table which we will be forming in a while over there. We are not doing the sections for now. In view states, it should be no combined state. In view display, change it to no hidden. And tangent edges display style be solid. We are not changing the origin and alignment from over here. We will do that later on. So from view type, I've chosen front. I've scaled it to 0.7. I have done nothing in sections or view states. In view display, I have chosen the display style as no hidden and tangent edges display style as solid. And when I press on apply, you see that it has created a 2D file frame for me. Now I would press on OK. Now if you try to move it, you cannot really move it anywhere because the view movement is locked. So I would uncheck that and I would move that into one corner of my sheet, and I would select this thing and I would delete it. So now we have one view, but I also want to see its top view and side view. Uh, so you can either create the views of your own, your own taste or whatever you need. You can just go to general view again, default all. Okay, and when you paste it, you can just change it to left maybe, apply, and then do all the same things. 0.7. You can go on like this. If you don't want to see the projection view, and you can create as many views as you like on the sheet. Sometimes only 3 projections doesn't suffice for our model, so you go for things like this. But otherwise, what you can do is you can just select this model and click on projection view. Now it would create a first angle projection of your model on wherever you go for that. And again, select this model and projection, and there's a top view. And if you would see that, it would not let you go in the corner of the sheet because there is no view which you can find over there. Or if you go and uncheck this projection view, it gives you the same view, so we don't need that. I'm just going to select it and delete it. Now these are showing as like the previous environment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double click on that, and again the scale is all the same. You cannot change it because it's a projection view. The view display again the same, no hidden and solid. Apply. I'm going to do the same thing over here too. Double click, view display, no hidden and solid. Now I have all my 3 views, but again, as we were talking about, like I don't know what's in there. I want to see this section, right? So for that purpose, I need to create section views. For the same reason, I have kept these planes for now. We are going to remove them after because we don't really need this orientation system over here in our drawing. So here you can create a full section or a half section. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a full section onto this view and a half section onto this view. I would just double click on the new window. I would just go to sections and select 2D cross section. In 2D cross section, there's a plus sign over there. I would just click on that and select my section which is already I have created. So you can select only the one which has a link with that because the other would not be visible in this view. I'm going to repeat it before applying that. Double click, go to sections, 2D cross section, plus symbol, and select the section you want. This time I am going for a full section. When I click on apply, see that it has created. Now these hatch lines are the point. These lines which are called the hatch lines are the points from where it has section to it. Press OK. I would delete this thing because these hash lines are already telling me that it's a section. Let's create a half section over here. I would just double click on the model and just go to again sections, 2D cross section, assign. This time my other plane is being selected, and in the section area I would select half. Now I have to select plane, and I would select the plane which is going right through it, and I can change the direction by clicking on this arrow or from over here. When I click on apply, you see half of it is sectioned. Now if you want, you can remove these planes display. For that, it's a really easy thing. You just go to datum display filters and uncheck all the things. Now your drawing is looking like really clear and smooth. Sometimes these hash lines, you need to edit these hash lines. Sometimes you need to make them thin or thick, for example, depending on your part. For example, over here they are pretty much fine, but sometimes you are following a proper convention and you don't need hash lines. Instead, you are showing the sections with a fill, or you are showing either the part is like really big and you want these hash lines to be closer to each other. So you can change that too. We are going to create a fill over here, and we are going to change these hash lines to smaller ones. But again, I'm just doing this to show you. Otherwise, you need to follow one convention all across your drawing. If you are doing fill for your hatching, just continue with the fill. If you are going for hash lines for your drawing, just go with the hash lines and go with the similar width. So to edit these, I'm not selecting model this time, I'm selecting these hash lines. So double click on them, a small new window would open up. And from right there, I would just select fill. I will click on again. After double clicking, I selected fill and done. And you can change the color of that too if you want to. Or maybe let's go for this one. One time. Let's make these hash lines more closer to each other so they are more visible. For that, I just need to double click on these. And I would let it as hatch XCH. And I would just go into the spacing and I would select a value. For this, I'm just making it less than a bit half. So I'm selecting 0.1. You can choose whatever value you like. And done. Now, your drawing is missing dimensions. You have all the views, but you haven't placed any dimensions, so you cannot really tell like what they are and what are you doing over here. So for that, you would have to go into annotate. No, don't be afraid, because this part is a really complex part and it has many smaller dimensions in there. It cannot be described in single drawing. It has like all the dimensions cannot be described in a single line. Now when I would show my dimensions, there would be a lot many dimensions and I would choose some of them. So when you are creating your parts, it would not be much dimensions which are right over here. But when you are moving forward, when you are in the real life, in your industry, tackle with these much complex part, we create bigger drawings, not on A4, and also we create several views of each part. So each dimension can be tackled with. I would just select the model and I would click on show model annotations. When I would click on that, you would see there would be a hell lot of dimensions. This is what I was talking about. So I'm going to choose a few of them which I think are important. For example, this one. Uh, I would choose this one too, and this one. When I click on apply and close that window, it would keep only my selected dimensions over there. Now you can move these dimensions a bit closer to if you want to, and just leave the rest of them and just or ignore the rest of them. Now I have given this 75.5 dimension over here. This dimension is same as 75.5. I would not give it over here again. Uh, Again, select the model, show model annotations. Let's select this and select this one maybe. These three. In this way, you can create the dimensions of your object. Now, up till this point, I guess you can already you're already able to get up to this point. I think so because you have learned this in the first year. Uh, Sometimes you need to add some geometric tolerances or surface finish type of things too. Geometric tolerance, you would already know that from your design. It's not something you can get from Creo. You should know that, okay, I'm designing a piston. This is my machine. Those things are dependent on the many processes and the application. For example, when you are designing a piston, it would have relatively less tolerance. But if you are designing some, maybe this glass, uh, if it is like 1 millimeter off from its dimension, it's gonna be fine. But if an engine is 1 millimeter off its dimension, it's gonna be a big problem. It would not uh, fit in the engine box. So you have to place some geometric tolerances. It's a really simple task. What you do is you just go over here at the geometric tolerance, and it would create a geometric tolerance for you, a tab. This is the symbol of geometric tolerance, and you would place that with the dimension you want to. When you would place it, it would bring you into a new geometric tolerance window. And from there, you can edit the value if you want to. Let's say that I want it to be 0.01, and that's it. That's how you would place geometric tolerances. The other thing which you may need is like to provide if there is some particular surface finish over there. You would have to define like so if you want a more surface finish, like a really clean one for metals, that would mean a process would be more expensive. It would take more time. It would require more equipment and everything. So you don't do fine surface finish everywhere. You do it as it is required. For example, like maybe let's just say that this part is not going to come in contact with any of the things and no friction would cause anything. So this part would, this surface would not be finished as much as this outer one. So If I'm looking at this drawing, I should be able to know that, okay, this part should have this much surface finish and this part should have this much surface finish if I'm going to make that. For that, you have a separate tab called surface finish. When you click over there, again you would have three options. Either it is machined, unmachined, or what. I'm just going for machine for this one, and I'm using a standard one. When I double click on that, it would be a new window in front of me. Now I can choose like the type of the letter which I want to, and again what I choose be consistent with that. And okay, I want to provide the surface finish of this thing. I'll just click on it and drag it somewhere and center mouse button to place that. Now I can change the value of this surface finish to from over here if I want it to be anything. Again, let's do an unmachined. Now, the other thing is now when I want to place something different over here, it would again open up the same window. It would not let you, I would not ask you to select which symbol you want. For that, you would just go to browse and let's do unmachined this time. It would not change that. And let's just select the surface and place it over here. And let's just change it to maybe 10. The next thing, your drawing is almost ready. In the same way, you are going to place dimensions over here. And the next thing which should be there is the table. So in this table, I'm going to show you a one when we are doing assembly drawings in a while. And these things there should be your name, your company, or whatever things you want to. So this was all about the part drawing and how are you going to place these symbols and stuff like that. The next thing we are going to do is the assembly drawing. The basic purpose of assembly drawing is to show how the parts are getting with each other, and uh, also to create bill of materials. Now bill of materials tells you like I guess you have already done that in your coursework. You like okay in this drawing how many parts are there and what is their material and what's their quantity and what's the part name and everything like that. So we are going to go for this one. Let's open up our assembly. For this purpose, I'm first going to change this exploded view a bit so I can see everything more clearly in my drawing, because in the drawing you would be looking at only one view. So I'm just going to change the position of these things a bit. Again, from at positions, let's just select this and move it a bit up. Select these and move them a bit away. this thing too. Let's remove it. Yep. This is what we did in the last session. I just changed the position of my exploded view and press Ctrl S. Save that. This time I'm not going to use an empty template. Instead, I'm going to use one of the templates which I already made and which is there. I'm just going to go to File, New, and Drawing, uncheck Use Default Template. And when I open it, I'm going to choose Empty with Format this time. And to choose the format, I would just go to Browse, and by default, it would go into the system formats which they have already there. And I would just go to my working directory and I would select the format which I have already made. So if I open it, click on OK, you would see that I have made something like this. So this time for the assembly one, this is an A2 page. This is not A4. I've mentioned it over there. Drawing scale for now, I have just kept it 1. You can change it to whatever scale we are using. You can provide some description over here. You can write in notes and everything. And over here, you can write the tolerances. Like this is what I was talking about. When you place a figure, when you create a drawing, you need to tell, like the drawing should be in a way that if someone is trying to recreate that, it would not be any problem for him. Or if someone is trying to uh, do that again, it would not be any problem. So in this time, for the assembly drawing is really simple. We don't generally create 2D view, more views over there. What we do is we just because the purpose of assembly drawing is not to show the dimensions, it's just to show like how the parts are being assembled together. So I would just go into general view and default all, and I would press on OK. And I click over here, it's all there. So let's see. Okay, so you see there was a problem that the views I saved are not being imported. You would just see that now. Yeah, the view which I saved, somehow it didn't came in there. So I would just change the scale so you can be able to see. Let's make it, if I, one is quite good. And the views are not imported as is as I did over there into this drawing. So you can change that over here too. If you double click on that, you would just go to, okay, where was it? Yeah. Double click, and in the new window, you just go to view states. And assembly explode state should be, you can customize that from over here too. When I click on a customize, it would ask me to select the component. Let's just select this piston pin and move it a bit up. Move these things further away. So we can see everything clearly. Done. Okay. The scale one should not be here. It should be at the bottom in the sheet. Now you can again create auxiliary views and the projection views from over here. That's not the thing we are going to do over here.